Hello everybody and welcome back to the Overlap Breakdown channel. I'm here this morning to talk about how England have just beat Mexico 3-2 in the round of 16 of the World Cup with 10 men and why this is one of the best England performances, if not games, I've ever seen. In terms of all the build-up coming into the game, the Azteca, the altitude and stuff like that, I couldn't really believe what I was watching at some points in that game. So yeah, we're going to get into this today, and thank you to everyone who is still liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing on all of our videos. It's actually getting quite ridiculous how well, received our videos are getting. So if you are still not subscribed, please make sure you do. Like, comment, get involved. Let us know what you made of England last night. And yeah, honestly, one of the most mental games of football I've ever watched as a supporting fan. And I'm sat here on about 2 hours sleep, and I'm absolutely buzzing, and I cannot tell you how worth it was to see Jude Bellingham, the entire 11, Jude Bellingham, Anthony Gordon, Harry Kane, Declan Rice, the subs, Dan Burn, Jed Spence. They were just absolutely phenomenal. But I actually do want to give, not complete credit, but so much credit to Jude Bellingham, because coming into this tournament, there was loads of talk about, is it going to be Jude Bellingham? Is it going to be this person? Is it going to be that person? We've seen all the media posting all of the polls, the articles, and I was still sat here and I was like, am I missing something with Jude Bellingham? Like, are we not on the same page about Jude Bellingham and what he is and what he's capable of doing? This is one of the best number 10s, box-to-box midfielders in the world, and he plays for England. And he is an absolute superstar. He's capable of doing unthinkable things. He's capable of running games. And do you know what, last night, he had the 2 goals to his name, but there's some of the other stuff he was doing. I remember he had a dribble down there where he chopped it between 3 players, knocked it past another and got into the box. He had no one up there with him, but he was running an attack on his own. He never stopped running from minute 1 to minute 111 or whatever it was. He had pretty much a goal line clearance, a goal-saving clearance in the 6-yard box here. He is between both boxes and in both boxes one of the best players I've ever seen in terms of putting an England shirt on and playing for England. Like, he's such an old school, unique box-to-box player. And I cannot believe he plays for England. Like, I cannot believe my country's got a player of that quality. And the same can be said for Harry Kane. And to be honest, yesterday, it was ropey in terms of the entire game in its totality, in its entirety. Mexico like to do this thing where all the wingers like to come inside. So what often happened in the game is they wanted to take advantage of, the pressure, the atmosphere, the momentum they'd built into the game. So they was often tucking the wingers inside and then bombing the fullbacks on. This often meant when England were defending in that 4-4-2 shape. I'll throw a little screenshot up on your screen right now just to show you what I'm on about. But when England were defending in that 4-4-2, what it often meant was Saka was coming and actually man-marking the overlapper on the left-hand side. So we often moved into this 5-3-2, which actually, unironically, set a precedent for what England went to do with 10 men. And this block, in fairness to England, was really good. And I think everyone was saying it when we went to the Azteca. Everyone was saying, get past the first 20 minutes, get past the first 25 minutes. And to be honest, I was watching the game with my mates last night in the pub, and when we got past the first 25 minutes, I was like, couldn't really ask for much better. We could have asked for maybe a goal, obviously a chance, maybe. But it was a nice little dinked ball over to Bukayo Saka where he just got a touch. And I was thinking, the space is actually there behind Mexico, and if we can ride this pressure a little bit and counter-attack them, then I think we could do something here. And that is exactly what happened for the opening goal scored by Jude Bellingham. So I'm going to show it on your screen right now. As you can see, the screenshot on your screen is that defensive structure that we was talking about before. Another massive shout out to Anthony Gordon. Like, one of his better games for England. And I'm not just talking about his work off the ball, which he's always there with Anthony Gordon, but on the ball, he was brilliant. He was leading attacks. He had one attack where he kept it in on the goalkeeper line and just ran in, and it was such a good chance, and he actually got a shot from it. But just the way him and Bukayo Saka were being able to retreat down these sides. It's why Thomas Tuchel picked him in the game against Mexico. Because on this picture, as you can see, look at the positioning of Anthony Gordon and Bukayo Saka. They're both basically playing wing backs. It looks like this, like it is on the board. And they have all the ability in the world, no matter the altitude, no matter the stadium, to go and play right next to here and, man mark these overlappers. But then they also have the flip side where they can attack space. So If I throw it on now into the second screenshot, we can see that the ball is worked back into Mexico's build-up. It comes all the way back, and then England start to push out of that shape, and it becomes more of the 4-4-2 like that's on your board right now. So it comes more of that 4-4-2. They jump out, a little bit more pressure, and then because England have pushed out, Mexico try and dink the ball over England's back line. Mark Gay and Consa, really nice sort of squeezing up the pitch. It's dropped in behind, Pickford gets the ball like this, and England have now got a chance to run at this more unorganised rest defence of Mexico. And Jordan Pickford, again, another player to give credit for, because I remember that save in this bottom left corner here. I remember the one where he tipped it over the crossbar here. Again, just another really good performance. And his reaction to all this is to throw the ball out to Declan Rice, who we all know is one of the best carriers of a football in the world, basically, in the Premier League at least. He gets the ball, he runs probably about 30, 40 yards with the ball, he gives it to Bukayo Saka. And if you look across the box right now, remember that England have just gone from defending 4-4-2, both the wingers marking both the fullbacks of Mexico. On this picture, look at them. The front four is strung right across Mexico's back four. Bukayo Saka runs down the line. It's an unbelievable cross, by the way, from Bukayo Saka. Like, there's an angle from behind him. And the technique he actually does on the ball is so wicked. It's like a slice, but it still has whip on it. And it's just got that enough loft, but enough pace on it for Bellingham to arrive slowly, but still have, just to get a glance on it. So we can see here on this picture, Harry Kane actually drags the centre half. So he runs to the near post. So he drags the centre half away from him, creating that bit of space between the full-back and the centre-back, who arrives in that space, losing his marker on the final picture. It's Jude Bellingham, and that's 1-0 England. And at this point, I was getting excited because already there was a precedent in the game to be had, which was England can defend deep against Mexico and they can resist chances against them and look very decent. So again, we go back to the goal. We go back to the kickoff, and Mexico look to do the exact same thing again. You can see it right here on this picture. They've gone to a 4-3-3. 2 centre-backs, 1 sitting midfielder, 2 full-backs, all that. England, straight away, what do? They get right back into that 4-4-2 off the ball shape. We can see it here. Kane, Jude Bellingham leading the press against 2 centre-halves. Look at how advanced the full-backs are of Mexico. So because they wanted to take advantage of the Azteca, the atmosphere, they were being so aggressive. And this wasn't a performance where England, obviously, they've been slated in the past, England, for being negative, for being pragmatic, for defending leads. This team that Thomas Tuchel's built, after we've said it in all the England previews, is that this team is built for defending low and hitting big spaces. And that is exactly what the selections are for. That's exactly how we played in this game against Mexico, and it's exactly what won us the game. So we can see right here, obviously Mexico trying to build out from the back, and the left back, as I've got it up on the board, so the right back's a bit more narrower here, but the left back has pushed all the way up here like this, all the way up as a forward, and there's so much space down this channel next to the left centre half. Elliot Anderson and Anthony Gordon, again, we're talking about them legs, about that will to jump. We've just scored, by the way. England could have very much sat in, got through to half-time, but they didn't want to do that. They wanted to push on. England then push on, win the ball back in a high press, and they run Mexico's defence with so many bodies. And again, Bukayo Saka, he was down here defending this man who's their spare man on the outside. He was down here defending like that. Where is he on this picture? You can see him just outside of Harry Kane. The energy levels to go between the boxes, to arrive into space, at the climate, at the altitude. It didn't matter for England. It didn't matter. At 40 minutes, it's threaded through to Harry Kane. And this cross, by the way, this is such a Harry Kane, shot, like shooting opportunity. But again, it's Jude Bellingham arriving into that space, dragging the centre half into deep waters. And it's 2-0. And from there, it begins to get a little bit more ropey for England. Obviously, Gerard Quansah got sent off in the 54th minute, and England had to do something completely different in the game. So if I just remove this player like this, and then we actually went to more of a 5-3-1 like this. I'll just show you. And Mexico just decided to creep even further up. So what you often had was Harry Kane up here, Jude Bellingham playing this like right central midfield role where he would jump out to apply pressure, Anderson in the middle, Declan Rice obviously doing the same out here. And then Thomas Tuchel made some subs, and I've spoke about this in the last few games of Thomas Tuchel at the World Cup, but his in-game management is really starting to prove itself, like at the top level. He subbed on John Stones from the 57th minute, and he had 5 defensive contributions and only 1 pass until the final whistle was blown. Dan Burn, Jed Spence, John Stones made 19 clearances combined after they come on. 2 of them come on in the 75th minute. And between them, they only made 5 passes. Now, if we all think about it, I remember Dan Burn winning a header in his box right here. I think the header comes over here. And it doesn't bounce, or the Mexico player doesn't touch it. So Dan Burns headed this ball on a loose one, like this, and a Mexico player doesn't touch the ball till about here. And it's them like bits of squad building, them bits of character building, the will within the squad. Jed Spence had an unbelievable tackle on Santiago Jimenez here, where he was 2v1. He goes to the ground. It's a really lovely, like, swooping challenge. Hooks the ball away. He's on the floor. He does another little stab at it, gets rid of the ball. John Stones had one over here, which he almost scored, but he had to get rid of. He also had another one in these areas where he was blocking it. And I just thought the in-game management, again, from Tuchel was just so good. The Morgan Rogers sub was good. I didn't think Harry Kane could stay on. And Declan Rice, Anthony Gordon, and Jude Bellingham, pretty well, they saw the game out, and all of them covered more than 11 kilometres last night. And England had 33% of the ball, which is the lowest they've ever recorded in a knockout tie at a World Cup since 1966. Might even be in any game actually at all. So yeah, I just think for me, I'm going to show you a few more examples on your screen of sort of what I mean by this ability to defend in this 5-3-1 and how good it was. I mean, we can see here on this screenshot I've got in front of you right now, England gave up everything down the outside. Like they didn't really care for Mexico having the ball down the outside. So what often happened is the block was as narrow as this, and Mexico were all over the flanks. But we've seen this a lot in tournaments. We've seen Cape Verde play Argentina and Spain, and teams like that, Paraguay, them sort of teams, when they defend low, it seems like the block is that narrow that all of the possession is worked out to the wide players. And if your wide players are not good enough 1v1 to get past the opposition's fullbacks, you can't really create that much because the block is so compact in there. And if you work the ball into these areas, if you try and get into these areas, you'll be met by Elliot Anderson, Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, who are not going to give you a minute to breathe on the ball if you receive it in the middle of the pitch. The amount of chase down blocks from Rice, from Dan Burn, from Gay, from Konsa, from Bellingham, from Anderson, the energy levels never really dipped until like the last 10 minutes where Jude Bellingham looked like he was going to pass out on the pitch. He was literally chasing shadows at one point. And you can just see that in these pictures that I've got on your screen right here. I mean, Mexico's wide players have got all of the space in the world. John Stones didn't mind playing 1v1. Ezri Konsa didn't mind playing 1v1. Jed Spence come on to play left back. He did not mind playing 1v1. So it was just a really, really resolute performance from England. The one that I've seen England try to see out leads before and fail. And I've seen England go into games and score early and defend the lead. I mean, the Italy game always comes to my mind, always, because we had a goal in the 3rd minute. And then we didn't concede, we didn't have another shot, until like the 64th minute in that game because we started early, we defended from the off. But in this game, we shut up shop and Mexico didn't really have a sniff. Like, from the goals they scored, fair enough. But apart from that, I can't think of any chances in the second half where Pickford pulled off a miraculous save. You know, there was the Jude Bellingham clearance, there was the Jed Spence tackle, there was stuff like that, but there wasn't anything where they feared, they threatened too much. There was so many shots from outside the box from Mexico, and I think their XG total would have been one of the lowest that England have faced in terms of open play XG conceded. And we had 10 men for 40 minutes. And yeah, I just want to show you on your screen right now this Dan Burn diving header, because honestly, it's absolutely amazing. This is wicked. You can see that exact same thing right here. So England have got that back 5 with the 3 sitting in front with the 1 ahead. Really compact, gives up all the space down the outside to Mexico's wingers. It's worked outside to the left winger, the ball's put in. But when you put a ball into England's box, you're met with mammoths in there. Dan Burn, so on this picture right here, Dan Burn has headed the ball inside his 6-yard box. And this next picture on your screen right now is the next touch of the football that he's made. And he's literally covered from here to about here. It's absolutely brilliant. And that is why, you know, he's been subbed on and that's why he's been taken. I've got the Jed Spence block just to show you in screenshots because a lot of people have forgot sort of what's happened in the game, including myself. You can see that Jed Spence block right now on your screen. Again, loads of space given up to the fullbacks, but they can't beat our fullbacks 1v1, so they decide to crosses it in, and Jed Spence, I mean, you just look at the desire, the commitment, the will to win this, and the person who actually ends up clearing the ball is Anthony Gordon in this picture, and it just shows that, you know, you can turn your nose up at certain squad selections, certain pickings, but last night, I think that proved, or this morning, proved everything about Thomas Tuchel's selections, his idea, why he's done what he's done. And I think this is the game that Thomas Tuchel has proved himself in. And I know the players probably deserve way more credit than Thomas Tuchel individually in terms of the way they defended. It was all down to resilience and will. It wasn't down to some masterful, you know, designed mechanism in England's block or their press or anything like that. But Thomas Tuchel is the one who's called up all these players, and all of them delivered last night. All of them. So, yeah, I think it's one of them. We go into Norway on Saturday, and yeah, I just can't get over how good it was last night. One of the better games I've watched in my life in terms of an entertainment perspective. Like, yeah, running on 2 hours sleep and not even having a care in the world because we've got Jude Bellingham is just something else. But yeah, could this really be it for England? I feel like they're the type of results that, you know, really matter. It's not like an Argentina where they played Cape Verde, they took them deep into extra time and they've edged them out. You know, we were the underdogs. When we went down to 10 men, every single person in the world thought, we're going to concede. We're going to concede. And we just didn't look like conceding. And I think they're the type of performances where you get a little bit excited. And in the player camp, they must be absolutely buzzing because, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just so good, so good. But that's all we have time for today. If you did enjoy, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the Overlap Breakdown channel. And we'll be back next week for some more analysis. Thank you.
This has been a Global and the Overlap production.